Welcome to this edition of Abbey Research Reads. I am Dr. Donnelly, Dr. Kristen Donnelly, and today I am coming at you with Hill Women by Cassie Chambers, which is a new memoir just out very, very recently. As you can see, my library still has the new sticker on it. And Cassie is somebody who was born in Eastern Kentucky in Appalachia, or Appalachia, depending on who you talk to, who has since gone on to inhabit a lot of spaces in the Ivory Tower, the ivoriest of ivory towers. She went to Yale College, the Yale School of Public Health, Harvard Law, London School of Economics, but she was raised by communities of people who were functionally or practically illiterate, who lived and live in the shadows of most of the rest of America. For anyone who's not familiar, the eastern part of Kentucky is largely mountainous. It is almost entirely the Appalachian Trail, the Appalachian Mountains, and the culture there is very, very different than it is in even the rest of Kentucky or the rest of the country. And we often kind of just, in political talk or national talk, we call this place the Rust Belt. But the Rust Belt is a lot larger than just Kentucky Hill Country. And if you've learned anything in watching with us and watching along with us, I think you've learned that we are big proponents that everywhere kind of has its own culture, since every human has our own cultures that we walk around in. And so the specific culture of the Rust Belt, for instance, in Appalachia versus in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania, they may have similarities, but there are also some fairly significant differences. And so it's important, I think, to sometimes we have to use broad strokes and we have to use potentially even stereotypes in having broader conversations. But when we're starting to dial down into what it means to be an American and what it means to be a citizen and how do we be a human in these times, it's incredibly helpful to have very specific recollections, understandings, and stories. Specificity really is the core of learning and the core of strategic planning and the core of empathy in a lot of ways. So what I really appreciated about Cassie Chambers' book, excuse me, allergies are rough these days, is that it is fundamentally a memoir, but it's a memoir written by a nerd. So it's a memoir with citations and footnotes and a whole lot of, well, you may not know this because this isn't your world and you weren't raised here. So let me tell you exactly, oh my gosh, my focus is going nuts on my camera. There we go. So sorry, guys. Let me tell you what it was like to grow up in this place. Let me explain to you what Berea College is, which is a very specific educational location in Kentucky that a lot of people outside of Kentucky may not know about, but it's a town, it's one of the towns that actually does town and gown pretty well. So for anyone who doesn't know, I went to undergraduate in Kentucky, and I moved from Philadelphia to central Kentucky, a town called Wellmore, just outside of Lexington, and which is not the capital. It is just one of the two largest cities. And I remember during orientation being given a map of Kentucky with whole counties circled and being told, don't get out of your car here. They don't like outsiders. Or because I had a Pennsylvania plate, they're like, they don't like Yankees there. And it was meant to put fear into me, and I really wish it hadn't. I wish instead they would have been like, hey, these are parts of the country and parts of people that you will have never encountered where you grew up. So know that when you're in those counties, you might need to behave a little bit differently. They might there's not going to be box stores, there's not going to be these kind of things, but if there's opportunities to get to know people from these counties, you really should and should learn to listen and ask questions and inquire. And at the time, the university I went to was not anything like that. That isn't the kind of learning that they encouraged. Perhaps they do now. But I definitely went to Appalachia, but it was termed as like a mission field to help people get running water. And it wasn't necessarily termed as a place that we could learn from. And since I've grown and have become a sociologist and I'm 15 years away from Kentucky, I've gone back and read quite a lot about life in Appalachia and what the resource issues are and the problem with infrastructure. And it is exceptionally difficult to deliver services in mountainous territories with volatile weather. but there's also a level at which, you know, we are an ingenious species and we could be more creative, but the United States has largely seen these people as disposable. And they're not the only population that's like that. So an incredibly empathetic, you know, Cassie Chambers is not shy about the challenges that her people face. She's not shy about some of the shortcomings that come from that. This is not a, you know, like a perfect, she's not trying to claim that this is a perfect place that we should all aspire to be like, or that just because you're born in this part of the world, you are innately, you know, better because you know the suffering of poverty, which certainly some other memoirs can dip into. What I just really love about this one is it's real bare bones. This is what this world is like, and you should know about it because it's in your country. And you should also know about it because they're human beings just like you are, and you've probably never met anybody who's from here because they don't leave here, because we haven't given them the resources as a society to leave if they chose to. And yeah, I mean, it's not that long. And like I said, it's new, so it's probably available at your library. I think Cassie is a really great voice in terms of empathy building, and also just understanding the power of, I mean, obviously it's a book about women, and so it's about the strength of women and how women have survived when they haven't been given resources to do so. But it's just a really great, this wasn't my life. Let me learn about somebody else's type of read. So, like I said, recommended. That's it for me for this edition of Abbey Research Reads. I'll see you guys next time.